WikiLeaks disclosing another big stash of Clinton emails today in the latest of a flood of revelations during the final weeks of the campaign. Ed Henry is discovering some new bombshells in today's data dump. So, Ed, you've been combing through these. What's the latest in here?
Well, Martha, what's really interesting is, first of all, on the email scandal, we're now going sort of behind the scenes into the huddle there for the Clinton camp and what they were doing in August of 2015 as this was blowing up, and learning that they were contemplating, they actually drafted an open letter from Hillary Clinton to the American people where she would express regret about the scandal. They said in part in this letter, most of all, I regret that this issue has in any way overshadowed the service and accomplishments of the men and women of the State Department who work so hard for our country. They obviously never hit send on that open letter, perhaps could not get Hillary Clinton to go along with saying regret at that point. You remember at the very beginning, you see in those pictures, March of 2015, she had made all these claims about no classified information on the server and the like. And then there in August of 2015, she had said, laughed and mocked the idea of wiping the server, saying, what do you mean with the cloth? Then we're told in these emails, the Clinton camp contemplated and wrote a script for a video that she might send out to the American people explaining herself. Again, they didn't do that. This has dragged on. Then today, there are new revelations about the Clinton Foundation. More of this behind-the-scenes battle between Doug Band, a Clinton intimate, and Chelsea Clinton. Chelsea Clinton raising questions about whether he was, helping his business, Teneo, this consulting company, on the backs of the foundation using her father's name. Well, it turns out that Doug Band fired back in some of these emails to Cheryl Mills, quote, how do we put in new reforms for me, he says, and go through an exercise like this when WJC, as in Bill Clinton, doesn't, as he is far more conflicted every single day in what he does. Why not apply the structure you set up for him to this situation? So the bottom line is he is saying in these emails that Chelsea Clinton had a big role at the foundation and was using foundation office space to run a private business. So you have inside the Clinton camp pointing fingers about all kinds of conflicts.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like those are some of the most damning that we've seen, really. I mean, he's making it very clear that within the organization, he has a big problem with the conflicts that he sees Bill Clinton carrying out every single day in his duties.
Right. It's not
and the fact that he was married to the Secretary of State at the same time. So, in terms of these emails portraying the Clinton campaign's relationship with the press, Ed, what's new there?
Well, John Harwood from CNBC, he had already popped up in here sending emails to John Podesta and others in the Clinton camp about Donald Trump and how to take on, Ben Carson and other Republicans. There's a new email where he gives the Clinton camp questions he had prepared for Mike Huckabee, saying you may face him in a general election. Then he writes an email to John Podesta about an interview that Chuck Todd did on NBC, saying, amazing, Harwood writes, that some people still think it's worth burning so much interview time with the person most likely to be the next president on her emails. Katie Couric also pops up in here. She was pitching an interview to the Clinton camp and saying in part, I'd also like to do a separate piece of business through social media along the lines of 10 things you don't know about Hillary Clinton that would showcase her personality and has a lot of viral potential. The idea being, why are reporters and anchors saying we want to find ways to showcase the candidate's personality? That's obviously not what we're supposed to be doing as journalists. Remember, John Harwood actually moderated a Republican debate during the primaries, even though he had this relationship with the Clinton camp, Martha.
Yeah. Well, so there's that. So the biggest takeaways from the last few weeks of Clinton revelations are?
Biggest takeaway, how is she winning by so much? If you go through all of these things, it's been tailor-made for Donald Trump to grab back the lead. Look at just what's passed, not just on WikiLeaks, but just in the last few days. You've had State Department official Patrick Kennedy, these questions about a quid pro quo with the FBI. That's been denied by all sides, but it was listed in an FBI document. In WikiLeaks, Clinton official John Podesta calling Bernie Sanders a doofus, even though they need the Sanders supporters now. Clinton aides, some of them Catholic, like Podesta, Jen Paul Mary, hitting Catholics, having tough rhetoric in some of these emails. Then that deposition to Judicial Watch, a private lawsuit where Hillary Clinton claimed she couldn't recall various things about her email over 20 times. And then remember, members of Platte River Networks, as well as some Clinton intimates, 6 of them getting immunity from the FBI, leading to this exchange at a congressional hearing.
Anytime you're talking about the prospect of subpoenaing a computer from a lawyer that involves the lawyer's practice of law, you know you're getting into a big megillah.
Okay, please, please let me interrupt you.
Sure.
I understand that clearly. Why did you not decide to go to an investigative grand jury?
In general, in my experience, you can often do things faster with informal agreements, especially when you're interacting with lawyers.
And that is the other big thing. FBI Director James Comey under fire for looking like he's been lenient on Hillary Clinton. That was about Cheryl Mills and getting immunity so that he could get to her laptop. Let's remember, that laptop later destroyed. There have been a whole series of these things in the last couple of weeks. It's pretty remarkable that it doesn't appear to have really affected Hillary Clinton much in the polls, Martha.
Indeed it is. Ed, thank you again for breaking it down for us. There's a lot of